Thank you, Samson. Thank you, the previous speakers. Thank you to those on standby. And let me start by narrating a lousy incident which happened on public transport from Accra to Tapari. For the class of hours that the journey lasted, a lousy radio presenter decided to inflict a lousy program with this lousy topic. The impulse to urinate or defecate, which is more serious. And for hours on end, people called to the program to share their lousy experiences relative to the topic. In another nasty incident, this time at a barber shop, the radio presenter asked listeners to tell the difference between a restaurant and a toba. And the law of garbage in, garbage out then took its natural course. The answers which followed were as inconsequential as the topic. These two sample size or examples might be insignificant. It might not define the entire media ecosystem, but they reinforce the fact that majority of listeners, especially those who are addicted to the local stations, see nothing objectionable about certain programs as far as the content resonates with their comical interests. So no wonder journalism has now been likened to concert journalism. Serial journalism has been likened to concert journalism to the sense that professional standards have fallen so low, and the profession can even be likened to a standardless one. With the permission of Dennis Goulet, let me operationally define development while I proceed. According to Goulet, the three main goals of development are: one, bread; number two, dignity; and number three, freedom. And bread in the context can mean sugar bread, tea bread, tozafi, abolo, kenki, fish, and other staples of national appeal. So as journalists, we have a responsibility to ensure that these staples, which are so popular, but yet so expensive, are made affordable for a Ghanaian. We are told that the city is on a path of recovery, and the economic growth is also on an upswing trajectory. But this does not obscure the fact that the cost of basic items are jaw-droppingly expensive, and the cost of living crisis is bitingly bitter. So we expect, especially our economics desk, to sharpen the focus on the cost of these prices, of these goods, whilst prompting the experts in officialdom to find solutions to the cost of living crisis, which has enveloped all of us. On freedom, we had the opportunity in 1992 to vote in a referendum to abandon the bullet course and embrace the ballot box as means of choosing our leaders. So if today Ghana is touted as a beacon of democratic accomplishment in Africa, the chunk of the credit should go to the media. We also applaud the heroic fortitude of certain journalists like Kweku Bakun, Kwesi Pras, Harun Atta, and others who risked their lives in an area when the whole nation was enveloped in the culture of silence, when the media were kept on a tight leash, and when we were shackled by all kinds of obnoxious laws and hobbled by all kinds of constraints. So if today we have the latitude to criticize, have the latitude to hold duty bearers to the fire of accountability, again, the credit should go to the media. But Pericles reminds us that once free is not forever free. And this explains the attacks on the Ghanaian media. On the issue of dignity, dignity is derived from the Latin word dignus, which was ornament. So the most precious ornament of any person is his inherent worth and intrinsic value. It certainly violates the dignity of our children who are compared as circumstances to learn under trees. It violates the dignity of communities who religiously pay their taxes, but chronically endure terrible roads. It also harms the dignity and health of Ghanaians who are forced to share sources of water with all sorts of animals. And the worst case scenario is water bodies polluted by people who have unquenchable thirst to make money at the expense of the health of our people. So we gone through the reports, and the various speakers have highlighted the issues which ought to be tackled. And I will look at training or practice. The report indicated that professionalism is in crisis, and this is true. But it's not enough to bemoan this situation. We need to take concrete steps to fix this issue. A number of centuries ago, the famous American publisher and editor, Joseph Pulitzer, ignited a huge furore when he said, journalists are educated and not born. In those days, it was fashionable for journalists to train by osmosis or to learn on the job. As a result, Pulitzer was pelted with verbal stones for igniting such controversy. But with the confluence of time, the complexities and challenges journalists face vindicate the rectitude of that statement. Last year, the Ministry of Information, the Ghana Journalists Association, GIBA, and the Department of Information and Communication Studies came together to design a curriculum which will help fix some of the challenges, professional challenges in the media. And I'll make bold to state that the distinctive quality of that training program has no parallel or precedence in this country. So our appeal to the authorities is that whatever financial roadblocks are hindering the implementation of this program, everything should be done to clear the roadblocks to enable all journalists in this country to consume this high-quality training program. To quote President again, journalists are not educated, they are born. It is not enough to exhibit linguistic mastery. It is not enough to exhibit literary embroidery. And it's true, some of our colleagues are so masterful when it comes to speaking a local language. And others too can write so well that you applaud them. But the reality is that it's not enough. So we need to deepen this capacity training programs to ensure that we post a different narrative as far as the quality of journalism in this country is concerned. It is sad that Ghana has experienced a precipitous decline from its 26th position on the World Press Freedom Index to the current 62 or 62nd. And the causal factors are well known. Attacks by people and sometimes peace officers who are unrestrained by scruples to show journalists where power lies. So as long as we attack journalists without justification, we'll continue to drop on the World Press Freedom Index. That is a low-hanging fruit. The authorities and listeners should stop attacking journalists, and you will see a vertiginous rise on the World Press Freedom Index. On the issue of low remuneration, which impacts negatively on journalists, let me say that it is inconsistent with my character and incongruous with my principles to indulge in self-praise. But I had the privilege to lead the delegation to essentially the president, who was evidently disposed to listen to our appeal to support media houses which are still reeling under the devastating impact of COVID-19. And as Cecil indicated, many media houses are still yet to recover. And this COVID-19 attack precipitated a dwindling revenue stream and stringing expenditure cuts, not to talk about job losses in the media houses. Some of the speakers have underlined the need for media houses to think outside the box and to examine their funding models. So I believe this should be done in consonance with the present realities which surround our working environment. Journalism, once again, ought to be made attractive. In fact, we need to do everything possible to ensure that media houses do not die under financial duress. Otherwise, it will spell challenges of incalculable proportions on this nation, and also erode the fundamental underpinnings of our democracy. The democracy is the very soul of this nation. So if our democracy is punctured, if our democracy bleeds, then the whole nation will suffer the consequences. So I believe I'll confine myself to this point and invite harmless questions from Samson and the Prof.